I will call this meeting of the Parkside Borough Council to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Platt, the roll, please.
Mayor Roman is absent. Mrs. Guy?
Here.
Mr. Bull?
Here.
Mr. Costigan? Here. Mr. Powers?
Here.
Mrs. Percival?
Here.
Mr. Sidlow?
Here.
Mr. Sweigart?
He said he wouldn't be able to make it.
Mr. Wills?
Here.
Mr. Rodo?
Here.
Mrs. Stillwell?
Here.
Ms. Matagi? Mr. Karankowitz?
Oh, is this the junior council members?
Council, yeah. Ms. Morris?
We have Verona over there. She's hiding though.
Oh, okay.
She wants a different view. All right, thank you very much. And we have correspondence.
We have a few. This one came in on the 27th of June. Good morning. It's from Kimberly Pasquarella. I've been checking the website and I was wondering if there's a listed calendar of the upcoming community events. Specifically, I wanted to check on the 4th of July parade. Is the time for that at 11? The only thing I saw on the website was the movie night, and I also saw it was postponed when I checked that day. Thanks, Kim. I responded to Kim. I sent her a list of the events that was put together, so she now has that. I confirmed for her that the parade did start at 11 a.m. This came in on the 27th of June. It's from Joanne Callan. Hello, we've been notified by our engineers that there is a possible sewer leak into the stream at Gulf Tree. Please read the notice below for our engineers and see attached photos. I forwarded this email to members of our council, and after consultation with them, we determined it belonged to Brookhaven, so I forwarded it to Mr. John Wilbert, who is the Borough Secretary there. This one came in yesterday. From Frank McCallum. I just received pictures of the street, my driveway, and vehicles on my property. All legal, I'll add. The $5.25 registered mail from the borough informing me a day later about a complaint of oil from my truck on the street, which I moved promptly within 10 minutes of Nick Capobianco asking to have it moved or towed. If this harassment continues, I will retain my team of lawyers to secure my protection against any more hostilities against me or my family. And I've been asked to read the Parkside Fire Company report. Council members, please accept the second quarter report from the Parkside Firehouse. April to June financial report is as follows. We deposited $69,889.66 in our general account. This includes the second quarter borough check in the amount of $33,755. During this time, expenses in the amount of $45,308.44 were spent. Trash, $615.90. Fuel, $642.69. Building maintenance, $1,518.50. Janitorial services, $1,200. Fire equipment, supplies, $1,641.81. Insurance, $16,673.84. Training, $2,157. Utilities, $6,254.52. Cable, telephone, security, $1,913.89. Landscaping, $250. Accountant and tax, $1,565. Computers, tech, $2,317.19. IDs for volunteers, $90. Relief payment, $5,000. Uniform, $957.05. Vehicle maintenance, $2,508.50. Interest, $2.55. Beginning balance, April 1st, 2023, $76,586.35. Ending balance as of June 31st, 2023, $66,655.77. Submitted by the Parkside Fire Company, July 19th, 2023, Borough of Parkside Council meeting. That is all I have.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me, I have a question. Mr. Secretary, how many people have stopped in on the evenings that you're working late?
I've had one.
Okay.
I've had one. Now, that being said, we've only done it 2 nights because last week was a holiday. And I'm not here next Tuesday. That was the second day I'd asked for. So, you know, we're not having hours next week. So it's really hard to judge, but there's been one person, there was a permit, it was the only time he could get by, so it kind of worked out well.
Okay. Maybe this is something we can revisit in the fall.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, thank you very much. The mayor is not here. Is somebody handling?
I have a report.
Thank you.
For the month of June, there were 2 crimes reported, one assault and 1 incident of criminal mischief. We had 205 calls for police service. Of those, 83 were clean checks, 25 were assist to other agencies, 3 neighbor disputes, 8 animal complaints, 7 suspicious persons, and 7 medical emergencies. There were no accidents in the borough. The officers conducted 24 traffic details, made 47 motor vehicle stops, issued 15 traffic citations, and 32 warnings.
All right, thank you very much. We have on here on the agenda resolution for Nate Sweigart. He's not here. Shall we put this off until the next meeting?
That motion to table.
Yeah.
But unless he's going to be up at the school.
Oh, we might be. I don't know. All right, well. Now we have calls to citizens.
Do we have to vote on, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Do we? You're right, we do. Thank you. I just wanted to table it.
Motion to defer for 1 month?
I mean,
What?
you think you'd be at school this time next month?
I don't know.
I don't know. Pretty close.
Well,
We can
either
send it to
way.
him. Certified mail or something. All right, motion to table for 1 month, hopefully he could be a part of it.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Any questions? Aye. Opposed? All right, moving on. Call to citizens. Agenda-related items only.
Should we do, accept the minutes?
Oh, yeah, that's not on here, darn it. All right, that needs to be on there. Yeah, we can do it. That's a good idea. Did everyone, Bob did a lovely job with his first time at the minutes. And did everybody get a chance to look at them? Does anybody have any questions, objections? All right.
Motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you.
Have we voted upon all of the minutes for the last
No,
several
No.
months?
we're behind May and April, right?
Yeah, they're the last thing I see is March.
Yeah. Apparently, the April ones never even got started, and Cordelia worked on the May ones for a little while, the 2 days she was here.
So my plan is to sit and watch YouTube for a couple days and try and figure them out.
Okay,
So hopefully August, but I make no promises.
okay.
Give me some air conditioning, I might do better.
Yeah, I'd like to give Bob a lot of credit for, jumping in and,
Move on.
making the office his own and seeing ways that he can improve things. So I'm grateful for that.
Thank you.
All right, I'll move on. All right, so now we are to call to citizens, unless somebody else has something else. Okay. Call to citizens. Does anybody have something agenda-related that they would like to speak on? It's gonna go fast. Okay. So, under my report, I started with zoning board because we now have 2 buildings that
Was that the only opportunity for?
no, there's also a time near the end of the meeting when you can get up to discuss non-agenda related items. All right, so the church has been purchased by a gentleman with a company, and he'd like to turn it into apartments. The church is not zoned for that, and somebody, at least one, maybe two people now have expressed interest in purchasing the defunct car wash. They're interested in opening it, I believe, as a car wash, and it's not currently zoned for that. But right now, we do not have a zoning board. Does anybody remember when the last time somebody was appointed to the zoning board?
Yes, several years ago, we had an active zoning board with Mr. O'Connor, who is currently appointed as the zoning solicitor.
I had a call with him the other day to talk to him about this. So we do need to appoint, the ordinance says 5, 2 alternates, 3 members of the zoning board who can listen to requests for variances and such. So what do I need to do that officially? I've asked Scott to take point on at least getting applications, taking applications of interested residents. That would be open to any resident in Parkside who could serve on the board. They are typically 3-year terms, but since we do not have anybody right now, we would probably bring people in starting at 1, 2, and 3-year terms, and then it'll continue to cycle. Because it's supposed to be that we are supposed to appoint new members or reappoint members each year. So, do I need to make a motion for?
I think we can ask for simply a motion to request that citizens submit letters of interest or applications or resumes. You can drop it off with the borough secretary, who, again, citizens that may have some interest in zoning, such as variances, special exceptions, appeals from the zoning officer's decisions, things of that nature. Certainly, if you have an interest in that, we can certainly use any expertise you may have. So we'll suggest yes.
Or no expertise. You don't have to be an expert in this, just a citizen of the community and
absolutely
want to make some decisions for the community.
Absolutely. And so perhaps as early as next month, at the August monthly meeting, Borough Council could consider making those appointments. Again, those appointments pursuant to the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code have to be through a written resolution, which I can certainly prepare if we sort of have an inkling of, among citizens who may have an interest. I can certainly prepare something and have it ready as early as the August monthly meeting. But it's an important position. It meets on an ad hoc basis, so it's not a particularly active board or committee, but again, it's still a very, very critically important board. So I'll suggest we consider acting on that, as early as next month's meeting if there is sufficient interest, and we have the applications that we can certainly review and look at. Again, there's no obligation. We don't have to conduct interviews or anything of that nature, but we're welcome to do so. But again, there's no requirement to do so.
All right, thank you very much. So the motion would be to announce to the citizens that we are searching for members for our newly formed zoning board. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
So I think we should set the deadline for 3 weeks from tonight.
Okay.
That'll give us a week to review applications. And then, so please send the invitations to office at Parkside Borough, or the applications rather, to office at Parkside Borough, or statement of interest. You only need an application.
There's no application. Your application is basically just sending an email to office@parksideborough, spell out borough.com, and just let Bob know that you're interested in serving on the board. We'll see who all is interested and figure it out from there, right?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so deadline 3 weeks. Do we have 5 weeks until the next meeting? We might. All right.
Yeah.
So that's zoning board. That was quick.
I think a motion was called for. So
Oh, yeah, I
we need to
didn't vote yet, did we?
Yeah.
I was, sorry, getting ahead of myself. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so moved. Usually when somebody's gonna vote no, they'd ask questions. Parkside Terrace. Rob, have you been doing anything with the Parkside Terrace parking situation? Rob?
So, when this first came to light about a month ago, I sent the state representative, Carol's, our borough ordinances, and I just saw something that you sent back the other day about looking into it further. Basically, it's a public street, and I went over there and looked at the issues that she said that a couple residents complained about. I did not see any lines that were painted over. Officer McCune was there last night and wrote, I believe, 7 tickets for people parked in handicap spaces. At this point, everything that she listed is a police matter, and I think the chief would agree. I mean, he could elaborate a little bit more.
Sure, if it's, as long as it's Borough Street, then the parking is open to everybody that wants to park there. We have an ordinance that I believe says 8 o'clock at night until 8 o'clock in the morning. I'd have to look at it to be certain, where it has to, the parking is there by permit. So anybody that does not have a permit would not be able to park during those hours. And, you know, I got an email this morning from a resident over there making the complaint known. And, you know, last night, Officer McCune was there. Officer Councilman will take care of it tonight. And we'll stay on top of it to make sure that if they're in a handicap zone, they'll get cited for, if they don't have a placard or a handicap plate, they'll get cited. And if they don't have a permit after 8 o'clock at night, we're not going to be there at 8:01, but sometime after 8 o'clock, we'll take a run through there and check. And if they don't have a permit, they'll get a parking ticket for that. And hopefully that gets the message across. What we've done in the past is if they are new to or didn't have a permit yet live there, if they simply come in and get the permit, we'll take care of removing the parking ticket.
Okay.
Okay, we're not, the idea is not to go out there and see how many parking tickets we write. The idea is to get them what they deserve, because there's an ordinance that says that you have to have a permit to park there at a certain time. So, as long as we accomplish that, that should meet with their needs and take care of it all right.
Who is responsible for painting the lines? This is in there's a cul-de-sac, Parkside Terrace, on the west side.
So all the years that I've been involved with Public Works, from years ago to being on council, we've only painted the lines there once. And we
Okay.
did it as a courtesy. I was asked by Shirly, Purcival, president at that point, if we could go over and accommodate the people by freshening up their lines. And we did that. And that was done probably 6 years ago. Other than plowing over there, we really don't enter that lot. As far as I understand, is all the years on Public Works and on the road program, we've never paved there. We've never done anything there.
So if it's not us that's responsible for the lines, who would it be?
Don't know. I don't have the answer for
It's
that.
always-
Okay.
Yeah, it's always been considered private property, and the owner of each individual unit is responsible for that area. We
Well, wait,
will
if it's
plow.
if it's a public street where we can write parking tickets, isn't it our street?
Not necessarily.
Well, then we can't write parking tickets if it's not our street.
Well, and that's the $1,000,000 question.
That's
Is
the
that
exact problem.
a borough street? If it's a borough street, then by ordinance, you can have permit parking there, all right? If it's not a borough street, if it's private property, it's on them. It's their property. The only thing we can enforce on private property would be a handicap spot. That we can do. So maybe that's something that we can get Jay to look into and tell us for certain is that a dedicated borough street? And if so, the borough's responsibility for the maintenance on it?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, everything.
I have to say, if we're not responsible for it, that's just a recipe for disaster, because you have numerous owners there who all are
Yeah,
vying for their space.
If it is not a dedicated borough street and that is private property, then it's the homeowners association over there that would regulate it, that they have their own enforcement mechanism. They have homeowners association rules and regs that, again, can provide civil penalties. That's in most condo documents, most homeowners association documents. Again, they have their own rules and regs that permit them to regulate that particular common area. And again, they can provide and issue civil assessments, civil penalties, if there are violation of the common rules and regs, as enacted by the homeowners association.
There is no homeowner association.
That was going to be my next question.
There's none.
Yeah, I think that homeowners.
Yeah.
Mr. Goldstein, who comes to the meetings regularly, who's lived there most of his life, he pretty much knows and runs that development. I think he's the only actual owner over there. All the other units are all rented. So.
Yeah, so there you go. It's not a homeowners insurance association. So basically, we just have multiple owners, renters, all vying for.
So how would we determine if it's a public street?
I can find that out fairly quickly over the Delaware County
Right.
Courthouse.
It would be
Okay.
listed.
Yep. I can get a definitive answer for you.
I do know when those homes were built, there was no permits ever issued for those
Right.
homes when they
That's
were
correct.
built. They were actually built illegally.
Right,
Really?
yes.
And I always thought that it was Cisco Court for the longest time, because it is its own little island over there.
Cisco Court has the original farmhouse.
Right, so
Yes.
it's kinda, I thought that was part of it for the longest time, and then this was a fire or something, all road there, so.
So if the solicitor can find out if it's a public street and let me know, then we will continue with our enforcement. If not, then we should put them on notice that the ball's in their court. The only thing that we can enforce would be the handicap parking.
That just seems like a powder keg to me, telling them the ball's in their own court, like,
Yeah, I think we need to, well, let's find out officially, but
Yeah.
I think we need to take accountability for this.
I mean, somebody needs to be responsible for making sure that lines get painted equitably and all that stuff. And it would be, I don't know, irresponsible for us to just throw up our hands and say it's not our responsibility.
I agree.
I mean, I think that, aren't the addresses like 16 Parkview Terrace or something along those lines? So it might not be a deeded street. But
No,
I think
they're
it's-
2601 numbers.
Okay.
They're 2600 numbers or something like that. You're the 2600 block, right, Rob? I think they have 2600 numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But it's 2601
they were built
Parkside
without
Terrace.
anybody's
Yeah.
There's no
permission.
street name. It's just Parkside Terrace.
Right.
Good luck trying to find something out, because it's a mess at the county when I looked into it several years ago, and that's when I found out the homes weren't even built with permits.
Yeah.
Bob, will you make sure that's on the agenda for next month, please?
All right, next thing I have on here is the borough audit. There were just 4 items. There are some escrow accounts. Shirley, perhaps, or Ms. Purcival, perhaps you can help us with these. There's 2 escrow accounts out there. One of them was started in 2021 for a fire escrow. And I can't find any sign that it was ever paid out.
May have been a fire insurance escrow ordinance.
exactly what it
Which
was.
we have an ordinance on the books, very similar with other municipalities throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, that when there is a fire that has substantial damage to a particular piece of property, it requires the insurance company, the fire insurance company, to pay a certain percentage of those fire insurance proceeds into the municipality. So that sometimes what happens is the homeowner takes the fire insurance proceeds but doesn't fix up the property, doesn't rehab the property, simply takes the money and runs. So that's why there is a certain percentage or portion of those fire insurance proceeds that are supposed to be escrowed with the municipality to ensure that at least the property can be at least somewhat structurally repaired or safeguarded, in a manner that won't cause harm to the adjoining neighbor. So I believe that's maybe those insurance monies or fire escrow insurance monies, which particular piece of property in the borough we're holding those on behalf. I simply don't know, but we
I
can certainly.
suspect it's West Elba. West Chelton, that's it, West
I'm
Chelton.
sorry, in January of 2021, this account was set up, Borough of Parkside, Joseph Simpson Jr., EAF Christian Orange. And that deposit was made January of 2021. And it's basically been sitting there since that time.
Has that house been
That
restored?
was the fire on
sorry?
West Shelton.
Has that house been restored?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we
Yes.
should give that money now
That money
to
should
the
go back to
resident,
the
is that
seller.
right?
Yes, that money should go back to
the
the
insurance.
property owner, so.
No, I think it was the insurance carrier that put it up.
Right.
I believe it goes back to the
But-
contractor.
But we were holding it
Yes.
until it passed code, and then we are now to give it to the
That's
resident,
correct.
is that correct?
To the
Okay.
property owner,
All
not to
right.
the contractor, not to the fire insurance company.
No.
but, yeah, the
That one should be
property owner.
closed out along with the one from Pendelco.
Okay, so somebody could send me the name and address of the homeowner?
Rob should have that in his fire reports.
It's Armstrong, right, yeah.
And I'll look back,
Jay,
Donna, at my records, if this was
Mhm.
January of 2021,
Right.
Yeah.
then I'll, may have something in my records as well, which will be helpful.
Jay, Belfour contacted me last year, and they said the money goes back to them, not the property owner.
That's not the
Yeah,
way
that's
the-
not-
That's not the
I
way the
don't
law
think
is
that's the way
written.
the ordinance is written.
No, it's not, and that's not the way
They,
the
they were
statute.
looking, they were looking for the money, so,
Yeah, well,
Okay.
they're gonna have to go to the property owner.
okay, then they can fight the property owner
Yeah.
for it if they want it.
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah, our responsibility is to remit the money back to the property owner, back to the owner of the insurance policy, again,
Okay.
which is the insured and with the property owner, not the contractor.
All right, and there's another escrow account that has 64,000.
No, 31.
31,000, all right, oh, it was 64,000 in 2011, right.
So it's escrow fund at TD Bank, and that goes way back.
That should be the Pendelco one. Is that the Pendelco one?
There was lots of transactions through there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that in front of me, but it goes back to like 20, I think. Anna was like-
2011 is what I heard.
That's gotta be the new school. Yeah, that was the new school.
So what was that for?
That was, there's an escrow account from Pendelco when they built the new school to reimburse the borough for solicitor and engineering fees.
Okay.
And money should have been withdrawn from that account to
And-
bring,
And
Bring it
return
down.
to the general fund account.
and
Right.
go into the general fund, and that should have been
Yeah.
closed out several years ago.
Okay.
All right, so that's found money.
There should only be two old accounts, and that would be the one.
Okay. So can somebody, like, do I need, somebody has to give me documentation just to close it out? The auditor's gonna want that for some free audit. I can't just say, okay, close it
Um,
out.
Well, do you want me to send you something asking you to close it out, or?
Yeah, somebody should.
All right, I'll do that.
Either Mr. Wills and/or Ms. Catania dealt with that escrow account when the new school was being built.
Okay. Okay, the other things, we need to get the employee files complete, and that that tax collector needs to submit monthly reports. But that was our audit, so not bad. No concerns about not having enough in any of our escrow accounts or anything. And I have down here expenses. I'm not sure how to deal with, like, what I view as a frivolous expense, but some stationery, linen stationery was ordered, personalized with someone's name with matching notepads, and it was nearly $300. You know, we have people who are struggling to buy groceries every week, living check to check, and, you know, buying stationery for $300 just seems like a waste to me when nearly everything we do is electronic. So I'd like to ask that any expense over $100 at least gets run by me, you know, just so that I can stop this sort of frivolous spending, in my opinion. I don't know if anyone agrees with that, but
Well, this body has to approve any expenses.
we're supposed to.
So when we vote the monthly bills, if that's an expense that is not appropriate, we can certainly vote to not accept it.
I haven't even put it through yet, because I'm waiting to hear from the person who had it ordered. They had not responded to me. But, yeah, I mean, it would just...
250 might bounce you up against, like, almost every one of the reimbursements for the police, almost every one of the reimbursements for, like, Home Depot. Like, maybe 250, like, just to not
You know,
burden you with... It
everything
should-
that the police buys comes past me, and you know, I'm just saying that right now there's some employees that have the authority to order things that I think I would like to put a cap on that, just so that we can keep that sort of thing from happening. Because honestly, if somebody had said, I want to spend $300 on linen stationery with their name and title printed on it, I would have said, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a lot. No, I agree with that.
Shouldn't all of council be aware of the spending, not just you per se? I mean, if somebody had said, we're spending, I'd like to order stationery, or whoever did, I mean, all of us should be aware this expenditure is out there and have an input as to, do you really need this or don't you? Is it a want or is it a need?
It would have
I
been
don't think it
nice.
should just fall on you. I think we should all be aware of the spending so that we have an input as to what's being spent by whom.
Well, typically, we vote on anything over $300, is that correct?
500, we always
500.
set the limit.
$500, we're supposed to vote on anything. But then we also approve it when the bills come through. But, you know, if everybody wants to get an email every time somebody wants to spend over $100, that's your prerogative.
But the person who bought this should have come to council and say, can I buy this? Should have communicated with somebody, not just made a decision to.
My opinion is they should have thrown out an email. I'm
Yeah.
putting this order in. Does anybody have any objections?
Agreed. That should have been discussed by not just one member of council, but every member.
That's correct.
Yes, absolutely. So nobody should have taken that, made that decision on their own.
Well, like I said, I haven't paid it. I'm thinking that maybe the person who ordered it maybe should be responsible, but honestly...
Well, if you don't pay it, you're screwing the vendor.
Yeah,
So maybe pay it and ask the person to reimburse the borough a specific amount.
that's a good option. All right, that is all for the president's report. So I will turn it over to...
Excuse me, I do have a few things to ask. We had an issue, and the chief may be aware of this, statements of financial interest for many of the elected officials seem to have walked out of the building.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've walked back into the building, but I'd like to know if there's an investigation going on, because that indicates all, or whoever's statements were missing, it indicates where our income comes from. And I'd like to know if any investigation has been going on.
Well, you know, those are public documents. Anybody can see them, right?
I understand that, but they actually are, as I said, missing, stolen, or removed from this building. And that, to me, is an issue. That somebody would have the nerve to come in, raffle through our filing cabinets, and remove documentation.
Well, they weren't rifled through the filing cabinets. They were on the desk of the office, the secretary's desk.
My understanding, the ones that are missing are 2019, 2020, and 2021, and they were in a filing cabinet.
They may have been, but, you know, they were out. So
Well-
maybe they put them back in the filing cabinet. I don't know. but I don't know what happened to.
Is there an investigation going on as to where these files walk to?
There isn't one now. Would you like to start one? I'm not sure where you'll get on it.
I can certainly start an investigation. I have said this before to several people. The way in which things were filed or not filed leaves a lot to be desired, and it's going to be hard to prove that anybody did anything nefarious or illegal just based on that fact. I mean, we have, for example, a police employee who left here on a disability, and the file is nowhere to be found.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're fortunate that our solicitor had the paperwork. So we were able to answer the questions that were asked, and I believe it was an audit. It was an audit by the pension board.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, you know, there's been, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but there are things that probably were not filed appropriately at some time, and whether they're in a file in there, I mean, I walked in there with the borough secretary at one point and said, oh yeah, it's right here, and after 3 times through the file, it's not here, I don't know what I did with it. That's a problem.
Is there a way to secure the filing room and have it locked?
I believe it is locked.
No, it's not.
I've been in here on the weekend and it was locked.
Well, I've been checking it as we're getting air conditioning quotes, it's been open.
Okay.
And it
for
has
that.
been open when I've been here.
I would highly recommend for all council, all elected public officials, when you file that statement of financial interest,
Keep a copy.
make sure you get a time-stamped copy from the borough secretary. I serve in multiple municipalities. I file my statement of financial interest each and every year, and I make sure in each municipality that I serve, I have a time-stamped copy of my statement of financial interest. So if lo and behold, my original that I filed here goes missing or goes walking away, and somebody says, gee, Jay didn't file his statement of financial interest, I have a time-stamped copy right here to, you know, CYA type of thing. So I think it's a matter of good practice. Again, simply don't file an original. Make sure you get a time-stamped copy. Make sure the borough secretary time-stamps it so you have in your own file a copy knowing that you have complied with the Ethics Act.
Would you add to your list of duties to create some procedures or policies for managing files in the borough office?
Oh, he's working on it,
Yes.
and
It's just gonna take some time.
All right.
yes.
And if we could keep that filing room locked at the end of the day.
The cabinet itself is locked. I don't have a key for the door, so I don't know if that door locks or not.
It must, because I couldn't get in it one day and I didn't have a key. All right, are we ready to move on to Mr. Ball?
Thank you, Madam President. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to make a motion to pay the monthly bills.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Madam President. Ladies and gentlemen, the treasurer's report for July 13th, 2023. All bank accounts have been reconciled through June 30th, 2023, except for the escrow accounts for Green and Tree. I think we just got this squared away, so that's fantastic. We are including all bank reconciliations and statements for reconciled funds for council's approval. General fund for the month of June, $15,217.16 was deposited into TD Bank, and expenses of $4,191.51 were paid. During this month, $40,820.58 of deposits were received into the Sharon General Bank account, and $166,634.34 of expenses were paid out, including payroll of $57,513. Below are the bank balances per the bank statements as of June 30th, 2023. General account, Sharon Bank, balance $994,164.07. General account, TD Bank, balance $320,201.26. General account, WSFS, $15,167. And escrow account for Sharon Bank is, we have a couple balances for escrow accounts on here. I just don't think they're reconciled monthly, as there's very little change. So escrow account, 2540 Sharon Bank, balance is $24,832.89. And escrow account TD Bank is $31,784.24. So this has been recorded every month, just not reconciled. Park account and the other ones are somewhat de minimis, except for our liquid fuels TD Bank, which is at $57,956.40. It does look like we're getting better interest on our general account at TD Bank on that, and I believe there's still some action to be moved to move some funds over to a more interest-bearing account to just try to get that benefit. With that said, I will report general progress and make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Madam President. Moving along to the open space report, there was some storm damage that happened in the last week of June during some of those torrential downpours. Most of that actually just came to rest in areas that are being, turf areas, no damage to speak of. And then the first week of July, there was a branch failure that did damage somebody's fence. I went over on that following Saturday with my son. They cleaned up their area so they can get their fence fixed. But there is still materials that need to be addressed. And I would be happy to recuse myself if the Public Works or Roadmaster wanted to essentially get 3 separate estimates to have, there's roughly 8 trees back there, but access is relatively limited. But I don't want to address the one tree that one person has a specific issue with, because it's pseudo in the same conditions as 3 or 4 of the adjacent trees, and I don't think it would be fair to not address all the dead trees if they all are essentially encroaching on people's properties and things like that. So
These are in the woodlot, the trees?
yes, yeah. And they're ash. We've been watching them. Unfortunately, even last year they leafed out. 2 of them still leafed out. No. Yeah, 2 of them leafed out. 6 of them did not leaf out this year, but they do have damage. States like Wisconsin, it's actually forbidden to actually climb those trees because of the damage that takes place from the emerald ash borer. So it does take specialized equipment and timing and things like that. So I don't want to say it's the low bid person, but it has to be somebody that has a technical knowledge to deal with trees that are hazardous. So I would recuse myself if somebody wanted to get some numbers that way for it. It's been difficult for me to just call them tree guys because they're like, "Hey Doug, how you doing?" There's no 2 ways about it. It's just how it works.
They know your voice.
No, I can hear from this or whatever like that, but sorry, that's how the business works.
All right, Rob, is that something you'd be willing to do, is try to get 3 tree companies out? Shall we make a motion?
I don't think that's in order. I don't think a motion's necessary.
What do you say?
I think good practice would be a motion to authorize Rob to elicit 3 bids, yes.
All right, I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved, thank you.
So you'll prepare a scope of work for Mr. Powers to, how will he know?
I've been documenting these trees and actually walked the property with Rob. And it's not a point of discovery, but I think almost letting their arborist say, hey, this is the scope. There's 8 trees that we need to come down. It's basically so.
We talked briefly about this back in May.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have, and I didn't turn a blind eye to it. I did speak with one of, unfortunately, the houses that if it was the tree company I work for, would need access to utilize our rentals, and the one homeowner that's one over removed says she would try to solicit their information for us so we could get it through there. Otherwise, you can't get a crane to that upper terrace, and you are putting people in. I'm not peddling fear, like harm's way. They're falling already.
It's risky.
It is risky work. And with that, I'll report general progress.
Thank you, Doug. Junior Counsel, Mr. Costigan.
Yep, so junior council's going to take the summer off, July and August. Brianna's here, but I...
Hey, Brianna. Taking the summer off, I can tell.
Good for you.
Couldn't help but come to the meeting, huh?
So we'll get things rolling again in September for the junior council.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Purcival, do you have something for recreation?
I don't. The mayor did not leave me her report, but I could ad-lib that the 4th of July was extremely hot, and everybody seemed to have a great time, and they enjoyed the parade, ate and left because of the heat.
I remember hotter 4ths. This was not the worst.
It was horrendous. And the only thing I would ask everybody to remember is we do have Community Day coming up in September.
And the movie that was scheduled,
the committee is looking to postpone that until October. Because August there is the Night Out event. I don't have the date in front of me. And then September will be Community Day, and October would be a movie night. Nothing for November, and the Christmas party at the beginning of December.
is there anything we can do to get a movie night in the summer? Because it seems a shame to me. I've actually heard other people telling me that kids have been saying, when's the movie night going to be? It's been a really successful event. The 2 that we held last year in the summer were incredibly well attended and appreciated.
It was, unfortunately, the night, the few days before, as everybody knows, we've had such soggy weather. The field was a mess.
I understand, but
so we don't want to ruin somebody else's field, and that's why they postponed it until October.
There's no way we can get anything to happen before then, because
I don't know. I'd have to.
I just think it's a shame for the kids.
I'd have to ask. We'd have to send the mayor an email and ask her if she would reconsider. She's chair, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's a shame, that's all. I know it was very popular, and I know that they've already spent the money for the movie, so.
Yes, and they'll hold the license for a year on the movie.
Right, just the one movie though, right, yeah. All right, we'll move on to Mr. Costigan, Public Safety, please.
The only thing I have for public safety is the police are starting up a bike patrol again for the summer. On Friday and Saturday nights from 7 p.m. to midnight, depending on availability of the officers. We're going to try to do that every weekend. Chief Murray, I don't know if you want to elaborate on that.
No, it's something that we've tried to do in the past, and for the past couple of years we've been struggling with personnel. Now that we have 4 full-time officers, we can start to use the part-timers to pick up some of those hours. And we have, I think there's 6 officers, right? 6 or 7 that are certified bike officers.
Wow.
So it's just a matter of getting them scheduled and Officer McEwen is reaching out and trying to get that done. So you probably won't see them every Friday and Saturday, but you will see them on Fridays and Saturday nights periodically throughout the summer.
Just real quick, so I did hear that Charlie was the one who recruited our latest batch of part-timers, correct?
Two of the three part-timers that we swore in last month, okay? Dominic Yoakum Davis and Michelle Fessler were both recruited by Officer Young while he was still with Park Police. And they also work at the Park Police. He kind of shepherded them along the way and got them applications, and they are doing very, very well. The third one was not Charlie's. He is a little bit behind the two, only because of paperwork issues and trying to get scheduling done. But he's coming along slowly.
Well, and Officer Fessler has now bought a house in Parkside.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
I think that's fantastic.
And for council's information, a previous part-time officer here has returned to the fold. He was sworn in about a week and a half ago by the mayor because he was looking for hours, and we can always fill in with hours. So it's Officer D'Antonio. He is back as a part-time officer here in the borough.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
So
Chris is he's a good officer.
He was, that's true.
I'd like to go back to the calls for service. So the number was about 205 this month. And I recall in previous years the numbers being in the low 100s.
Much lower, yeah.
So I am correct that the number has gone up significantly.
Absolutely.
And is that because we now have 4 full-time officers, or is there anything that can be attributed to?
That's in large part because we have 4 full-time officers, okay, that are patrolling the borough. Okay, for the longest time, our numbers were sliding because the only thing we were getting was an officer from either Brookhaven or Upland who was answering a call. Okay, they weren't doing any real proactive patrol. They were simply coming down when we had a call. Now that we have 4 full-time officers, those guys are out there. They're making car stops. Just looking at the number of traffic citations that have been issued or warnings that have been issued, yes, it is definitely due in large part to the fact that we have 4 full-time officers.
Okay. So those numbers are more consistent from when we had a previous consistency, not the year that we had missing coverage. The 200 calls a month is...
I'd have to go back and look at that, Scott.
I would say yes.
I'm not 100% certain, but I think we may even be a little bit higher than back in, say, 2018, 2019.
Okay.
I mean, well, I'll tell you.
We normally would average 185 to 195 in that range.
Okay.
The year I started, January of 2020, the prior year, we had 1,800 calls for service, 1,859 or 1,869 calls for service, which equates to about 150 a month. Okay, so that was for the year 2019. And we have not been that high since. But remember, COVID hit in 2020. That shut everything down.
Right.
So our calls, police calls for service dropped off dramatically then. And we just never recovered. So at the current rate, if we're averaging 200 calls a month, we're going to be looking at 2,400, 2,500 calls by the end of the year.
Okay. I was pleased to hear the statistics, I believe, said that there were some 40 or so traffic stops, but a majority of those were managed with a warning as opposed to a citation. So, okay. I don't want to have any kind of over-policing issue occur.
We're not out to try to generate revenue by making car stops. The idea is that people understand that what they did was wrong and they need to correct their behavior. There are some times when it can't be overlooked. If a person's driving with a suspended license, we're kind of compelled to issue them a citation or some very flagrant violation. But most of the violations are rolling through a stop sign instead of coming to a stop, okay? And 95, 98% of them is a warning, okay? We're watching, we're paying attention, you can't do that.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, the goal is compliance, not revenue.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Chief, how many part-timers do we currently have on the rolls?
7.
There are
7.
That's what I said. 8?
part-timers.
Because you just added one.
Right now. Several of them are hanging by a thread, okay? They give us very little, but there's no reason to kick them to the curb because, they may be the one that picks up the ship.
Yes.
Because they're available. Others are more, shall I say, hungry, okay, and are anxious to pick up those shifts.
Yes.
And the nice thing about part-timers is they don't cost us until we use them. We could have 25 part-time officers. Doesn't cost the borough.
No.
Well, that's not 100% true. I mean, there's still some uniforms and whatnot that have to be purchased, but it's not a huge expense to the borough because there's no benefits, there's no vacation time, there's no holidays, there's, no personal days. They're at our beck and call, and if they're available, they come in.
You have 8 part-time personnel, 4 full-time personnel, and yourself, we're a total of 13. Yeah. That's on the high side, Chief,
We've
from
grown.
what the history of the Parkside Police Department. I
Absolutely.
know, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's great. That's terrific.
Yes. Okay, so, I'm sorry, Mr. Costigan, were you done?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Mr. Sidlow.
Okay, so I have reviewed Mr. Will's changes to housing, soliciting, and parks and recreation, and sent those back to Mr. Wills. We had a miscommunication. He did not receive my email. So anyway, we're anticipating to have final drafts of those ordinance changes, and we'll distribute those through the month, and that'll be voted on at the next.
Advertise.
Advertise. Yes.
Voted to advertise at the next meeting, yes. And that's all I have for license and inspections. There were 4 residential building permits and no commercial. There was 1 plumbing permit and no commercial. There were no mechanicals and no for residential or commercial, and there was 1 electrical for residential and none for commercial.
Okay. Do you have anything for code enforcement?
That was the code enforcement.
That was code enforcement.
Oh, no,
That was
I don't do the code,
license and
I don't do the
inspections.
code enforcement report.
I have code enforcement.
Thank you.
Secretary does.
There was 1 issue of overgrown grass, 200 block of East Roland. 1 issue of athletic equipment on sidewalk, 2600 block of Crozier, citations given. 1 issue of oil discharging from vehicle on borough roads at 8 East Elbot. Reminder to all residents, ordinance number 116-9, no person shall discharge leaves or grass into the street. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Powers, Public Works.
Thank you, Madam President. Scott and I have jointly taken on the air conditioning problem here at the Borough Hall. We are actually actively getting a second opinion to see if the air conditioner is what it's supposed to be shot. So Scott has contacted a couple people and worked with them directly. We have another contractor coming in Monday to give us, I think that'll be our 3rd bid, Scott.
Yeah, so
And then we move forward.
Yeah, so Oliver Heating and Cooling has provided us with actually 4 proposals. I met with a DZO Mechanical, and I chose them because they're focusing on commercial. We had a couple of contractors who were more residential focused, and they weren't real comfortable with the job, so I felt like we needed to speak with some commercial contractors. So DZO Mechanical, I met with them yesterday. We're waiting on a proposal from them. And then Delphiria has already been out twice. They want to come out a third time before they give us a proposal. So we're going to have 3 proposals. At least we'll have multiple proposals from 3 companies by the next meeting.
Okay.
And hopefully that'll give us some choices that we can make. So
We just want to make sure that the unit is shot and it could save us some money repairing
Well,
it.
right.
You know.
So since
Another
we
opinion.
spoke, since we spoke on the phone Monday, yesterday I met with DZO and asked them if they would do a service call, and he took one look at the unit and said, you know, this has old refrigerant, which is
Right.
very expensive to buy, and that it did not make sense to get even a service call on it. That
Okay.
any dollars that we would put into that system was not good value dollars. So I did not have him move forward with that. I did not speak with
Okay.
you
That's
about
fine.
that since.
So Monday will be our last bid, and then we could come up with something. by the
Hopefully
next
they'll
council.
provide us with a proposal. It's taking about a week between when they see us and when the proposals are being issued.
Okay.
And
Works.
so, and we are also, we're getting, so right now we have gas furnace with standard air conditioning. We're also getting proposals for heat pumps instead of either a heat pump with a gas furnace or just a straight heat pump. So I think we're going to have a number of choices that we can select from when we get all these proposals.
Well, isn't a heat pump more expensive to run because the electricity cost is continually increasing?
Well, I mean, all fuel costs are going up.
But not as much as electricity.
Right, but the heat pump also has a greater efficiency, depending on what you buy. But heat pumps is transition to heat pumps is what the Department of Energy is pushing all of American society to make. We are not a homeowner, so we don't have access to federal tax credits, but you know, there's now a $2,000 federal tax credit for homeowners who buy heat pumps. So the goal is to have heat pumps because eventually one day there'll be solar panels on this roof. So the idea is to slowly transition the building and really everyone's homes from being run on gas to being run on electric heat pumps and electric water heaters and use solar panels to provide the method of creating the energy that's used in the building.
Well, by the time there's solar panels on this building, a heat pump would be shot and we'd need another one.
Well,
A heat pump is very expensive to run as far as electricity compared to natural gas.
well,
I understand your point of getting quotes, I just don't agree with the heat pump because of the cost of running it.
Well, 2 of the contractors aren't even willing to entertain a heat pump system here. So I think that's dead in the water, I would believe, Scott. But, I mean, I still, we can look at it. I don't have any issues with looking at something. I mean,
I'm still going to pursue it as much as I can to at least to get the quotes. We can make decisions. We can make decisions.
That's fine.
Yeah. Now, I want to offer my professional skills. I do energy audits on homes and small commercial buildings. So if the council is interested at no cost to the borough, I would like to, the same way I write up for homeowners, I would like to write up an energy audit report on this building and provide that to council and to the citizens to show what I would do. Like, for example, I think the biggest weakness in this building is the crawl space below us. So we have a dirt floor, and then we have about a 4-foot-high foundation walls around the perimeter of the building, and there are a number of, every 8 or 10 feet, there's a vent about this big where air transfers through. The point of those vents is for the moisture that comes out of the ground to be able to exit under the building. But the problem with that is there's no insulation on the floor that we're all standing on. So all you have between the cold winter is a piece of plywood and the carpet of the building. That's the only insulation value you have. The proper way to treat a crawl space according to current code and the way it would be built today is that you would put a plastic vapor barrier down on the crawl space floor, bring it up the sides, insulate the perimeter of the crawl space, and seal off all those crawl vents. The moisture barrier on the ground would solve the problem of moisture coming out of the ground. So, you know, heat pumps can work quite effectively if you have the proper building shell. This attic is reasonably well insulated, except for the attic over the police station, because that was the original part of the building, and when this new section of building was built, it was never insulated. So, if the council would like me to provide my professional insight into what could be done to this building in the future, you know, I would be willing to do that. You know, so that's my offer, and that's what I would be willing to do.
So you're donating your expertise?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a member of this government, so I'm going to, you know, do what, you know, in the past, the former council president and others have not taken my professionalism seriously. So if that's going to be the case again, you know, I'm not going to do it. You know, the lighting is another major issue that should be taken care of in this building. So if my thoughts and ideas would be welcomed, I would provide it. If it's going to be blown off and, you know, quite frankly insulted, then I'm not going to do the work. So.
I'd be interested.
The lighting has been discussed numerous times because we still have supplies and it's foolish to waste them. The discussions were not to question your abilities. There was other discussions as to throwing away equipment that we've already paid for, the taxpayers have already paid for. And the discussion also was if you could coordinate with our engineer who designed and built this building. So, I mean, those discussions were held in the past. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah. Well, in terms of the light bulbs the replacement light bulbs, there's less value in those bulbs than there is energy cost to operate them.
But the taxpayers already paid for them. I think we've gone through that several times.
I know, but literally, keeping them and using them cost the taxpayers more money than getting rid of them and upgrading.
There are grants out there to change over to LED lights. And I believe the fire company just received a grant this year, and I don't know what time frame, to transfer their lights to LEDs. So yes, there's money out there to do that, instead of wasting light bulbs and throwing them in the trash.
All right, whatever.
Is there any grants out there for fixing our air conditioner?
Check on it.
All right, well, Scott, I thank you, and I thank Rob as well for working together, and I know that you brought another air conditioner in because it wasn't keeping up. You put another window unit in.
Yeah, we should say that Bob is not dealing in any kind of uncomfortable situation. We have window air conditioners in 3 windows right now, and there's a 4th air conditioner available if we need to add even more cooling. So
Monday morning is the worst because we're leaving the units on overnight, but we're turning them off for the weekend.
Okay.
So I may start coming over on Sunday night to turn them on just to cool down the building.
Sure, or just the one in the office and not.
Other than that, I'm not suffering.
Okay.
I'm really not.
Yeah, no, it was pretty nice.
So that's why we're not rushing to make a quick decision.
Do it the right way.
Yeah, let's make the good decision.
We're making a good decision. Plus, it's really too hot for anybody to work in the attic right now. It's going to be more of a fall project from any contractor who wants to do the work.
All right, so do we need to make a motion or something for Scott to do the energy audit of the building?
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate, and I have no objections to what the councilman is proposing and the fact that he is certainly donating his valuable time at no cost to the borough, so I don't see any objections from at least a legal perspective.
Well, thank you. All right, so I will make that motion.
Second.
Any questions?
Yes. Will he be coordinating with our engineer, who, again, designed and built this building.
Plastic underneath there, isn't there?
No, it's a dirt floor. Look in the cross.
Yeah, I mean, I know, we had issues with finding the units when we went up there last month,
So the construction drawings, or the original construction drawings of the building will be very helpful to me. I've already received from Mr. Roto the HVAC plan, and I've been showing that to every HVAC contractor that comes through. So certainly the requested use of any construction documents, but generally an energy audit is not coordinated with an engineer, but he will be a resource that I would gladly use.
Okay, any other questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. Thank you very much. And Rob, before you finish up with the Public Works, thank you as well for filling in the holes on Edgemont Avenue. Until we know what's going on with that grant, we just have to keep putting a Band-Aid on. Yep.
Okay. Health inspections. We have another bed bug infestation in the borough. I've asked the homeowner who has the problem coming from the neighbor's house again, the same one that we visited about 3 years ago, that ended up in court. I've asked the homeowner to contact the Delaware County Health, and as of today, nobody's returned this woman's phone call. So I don't know what, or I don't know what my involvement should be at this point, since I'm not considered the Bella's health officer anymore.
Okay.
She's leaning on me to come threaten this lady with court again and have her fix this problem, and the way I handled it the first time, I don't know if I have that jurisdiction anymore.
Okay.
Rob, I would suggest you consult and refer the matter directly to the Delaware County Health Department. Is that something you could do?
I could.
Do a series of phone calls. I think that would be helpful in facilitating their involvement, and then hopefully they will get out there and take a look at the problem and hopefully resolve the problem in short order.
How do I identify myself as the borough employee? Emergency management?
Yeah,
it could be
a council member?
And a council member, as well as the emergency management coordinator for the borough.
Okay.
And you have a direct interest in this problem.
But just council member ought to.
Okay.
That,
I will definitely make that phone call tomorrow.
The resident also contacted me yesterday. She's getting nowhere with the county, and I asked her just to continue to call if it's twice or 3 times a day.
No, I don't find it surprising that the county hasn't interacted so fast, so,
They're
I mean,
not
that's what we've
returning
been
her
getting
call.
here in the borough.
They're not returning their calls.
So that's that under health inspection. Fire marshal, once again, one investigation involving an outdoor fire pit. The culprit had a fire pit in his backyard unattended and burned down his neighbor's fence to the rear and burned down his neighbor's fence to the right of him. At this point, citations have not been issued. I'm waiting to see how he's going to handle the fence that damaged. He said he's going to repair it himself. Both neighbors have agreed to that. So I'm working on a citation properly.
Okay.
That's it for emergency fire marshal report. Emergency management. At Park Valley, the contractors down there working on the bridge, they had a small release. It was quickly apprehended. There was no residue that was into the creek because they had it dammed upstream. The chief handled it while I was on vacation. He did give me a report, did contact the contractor, and it was handled properly, so the investigation's closed. That's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Purcival?
Thank you. For the month of June, there was 25.40 recyclings tons and 101.25 tons of regular trash. DEP survey was forwarded to me to complete, but it was not applicable to our borough.
Can I go back to emergency management? So obviously the heat is in the forefront of everybody's mind right now. Do we need to have a cooling center here in Parkside? Do we need to open this room as a cooling center? Or do we know if there's any demand for for homeowners that don't have air conditioning and need a place to come to?
Not that I've heard.
Well, if you know of anybody who is suffering with no air conditioning, please let us know.
Not that I've heard.
Right now,
I did for 22 years.
Yeah, me too. There's also a
Like
center.
said, no air conditioning for 22 years.
That was me. There's also a center on Camp Upland at the Redwood Center.
The Redwood Center's a cooling center?
Yes.
Okay.
In an emergency situation, the borough would
Firehouse.
open the school and the firehouse.
Yeah.
In an emergency.
Okay.
All right. Communications would be Perry. He is not here. But I believe that the end of the month is when they're trying to get the newsletter out. And you said you have something from Mr. Fisher?
I do have a tax report, May 21st, 2023 to June 26th, 2023. Treasurer has received a total of $1,176,333.14 to date. There was $23,065.88 in revenue deposits from May 21st through June 26th.
Well, let's call it. So that was number one.
All right, thank you very much. Joe, it's all you, engineer.
Thank you, Madam President. For the engineer's report, the PA Small Water and Sewer Grant for Edgemont Avenue. The grant board met last night to discuss the applications. We don't have any word yet on the grant status, but we'll keep you updated as information becomes available. West Cole Memorial requested the first 50% of the Greenways funding in the amount of $4,675. This amount should be deposited into the borough's account from the county soon if it has not already been done so. Watering of the planted items in West Cole should commence by the borough as per change order number 1. And Arnell Company has completed most of the site work, or a good amount of the site work, and the lights are the major items that are still outstanding because they're taking a little longer to come in. Recommend payment number 1 in the amount of $15,000 for the work completed to date.
I'll make a motion to pay Arnell $15,000 for the grant, for the West Cole Memorial Grant.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
That concludes the engineer's report. Thank you.
All right, so you said that we're still waiting to hear on the grant for that's for the Edgemont.
Yes, I contacted the grant administrator a few weeks back, and she said that the meeting was on the 18th of July, and that was last night, so we're still waiting to hear back on results.
Okay, and so basically if we get the big grant, then we're doing the whole project. If we don't get the grant, then we're just fixing the part that's sinking, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And Mr. Willis.
Thank you, Madam President, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The July 19th Solicitor's report is as follows. Number 1, I have one action item for Council's consideration, and that is a resolution authorizing the addition of Borough Secretary Extraordinaire Robert J. Platt as a signer to the current general fund checking account maintained at Sharon Bank. Again, very briefly, the resolution reads as follows. Whereas Mr. Robert J. Platt presently serves as secretary for the Borough of Parkside, and whereas it is necessary that Mr. Platt's name be added as an authorized signer to the current general fund checking account maintained at Sharon Bank. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Borough of Parkside, and it is hereby resolved by the authority of same. Number 1, that Robert J. Platt is hereby authorized to add his name to the current general fund checking account maintained at Sharon Bank in his official capacity as secretary for the Borough of Parkside. And number 2, that confirming that the Borough Council President Anna Guy, Borough Council Finance Chair Douglas Bull, Borough Secretary Robert J. Platt, and Borough Treasurer Donna Stillwell shall be the only persons authorized to perform banking transactions on behalf of the borough at Sharon Bank. And so if it is the pleasure of council, a motion would be in order to adopt said resolution.
I'll make a second.
It's a race. Any questions?
So, has the previous borough secretary's signing signature been revoked or taken away, or is that, what's the paperwork on that?
Yeah, there had been some ambiguity with regard to that, so we want to clarify this situation, and we want to make sure that, at least in our communications to Sharon Bank, that the former borough secretary, whatever authority she has, that has now been revoked. And again, by adding Mr. Platt, and again, we also have Mr. Bowen, we have, of course, our council president, and our erstwhile treasurer over there, Ms. Donna Stillwell. They will be the only authorized personnel on behalf of the borough to conduct banking transactions at Sharon Bank. And I think Sharon is looking for something to this effect as well. So after, assuming we adopt this resolution tonight, I believe they're going to want to see an executed copy.
Yeah, they do.
Yep.
Yeah, after the last meeting, I was charged with looking to see what was done the last time. And the last time it was a resolution that's actually spelled out her name.
Yes.
So that was why we had to change it.
All right. So we've had questions. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
All right. Second item on my agenda, again, I had prepared a resolution for council's consideration this evening. We're going to be deferring that resolution to next month, but of course that is the resolution authorizing the 2023 Parkside Borough Scholarship to Nathaniel Sweigart. In reading the background and bio and some other information on this fella, I found out a lot of the adversity that he had necessary for him to overcome to achieve the personal and academic success he certainly has attained while at Sun Valley High School. So my compliments to him. Next item on my agenda, again, the council president had alluded to this with regard to the zoning hearing board appointments. Earlier this week, I drafted up basically a small dossier with the legal requirements necessary for filling those vacancies on the zoning hearing board so that we are in full compliance with the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code. And then really fourth, again, the right to know requests continue fairly fast and furious. But again, I continue to work diligently with our open records officer in responding to multiple right to know law requests, including appeals that we have pending before the Pennsylvania Office of Open Records. Again, I'm pleased to report that the borough continues to experience an exceptionally high rate of success in achieving favorable outcomes before the Pennsylvania Office of Open Records. So again, we appreciate everybody's cooperation in that regard, and certainly Councilman Costigan, who is dutifully serving as Open Records Officer for at least this year and maybe beyond, depending on how he feels about that position. But
well, let me interject on that note. I would like to actually see by the August meeting that Bob, Mr. Platt, be able to handle that, because Tamika was handling it before. So I think, you know, with you starting the school year back up, it would be great if Bob could handle that. I think by then maybe you'll be comfortable enough to take on something new. I'm getting a face.
See, here's why I would say we're suicidal, but I don't want to say that here.
So,
not a problem.
I think that's a laudable goal. And why don't we think about maybe a date of September the 1st, right? That's when Mike sort of returns to school on a full-time basis. And perhaps Mike can get together with you later this month and through the month of August and
You know I live next door to him, right?
That makes it easy then. Okay, you guys can powwow at night then over a cup of coffee.
They can use tin can and string.
And I am certainly available for certainly any legal assistance you may need. I've worked well with Michael, and I'm sure the transition will be seamless, Bob, as we transition with you. But yeah, I would suggest perhaps a date of September 1st might be an achievable goal date. In this way, Michael could hand those responsibilities over to you.
You can do it. I know you can.
And with that, Madam President, I can report general progress.
Thank you very much. The next item on here is call to citizens for anybody who would like to speak to council regarding something that was not on the agenda. Go ahead, and I understand there is a sign-up sheet there, and you don't need to state your address if you just write it there.
Many evening ago. Question for Council President and Vice President Managai and Michael Costigan. How did my information and Mr. Ken's information get out on the right to know that we had nothing to deal with? This included my bank information. Did not include Mr. Ken, but it was his social security number, my social security number. Vice President Michael, you lied to me. You told me it only went to one person. Then why did it show that Theo McCleary owned and has access to these files? Plus we know it went to Anna. You're not going to say it didn't. My big question is this how your friends and Kyle get all the information they need to look up for their right to knows? Because that's what I feel. It's unacceptable for this to happen. Theo is not on council. He should not have access to any of these records. And second of all, this didn't just interfere with my life. It interfered with my husband's because it was a joint account. We had to go to the banks. We had to call credit cards. And I heard nothing. And I know you guys knew about it because I spoke to you before. What is being done so that this does not happen again? How many other residents' information has gone out?
We have an executive session scheduled for immediately after this to discuss that very thing.
But that's not answering my question. How did my information get out? Why was it even on the file? It should have been locked under key.
It's a good
like
question.
Everybody else's employment. It was an employment application.
It's a good question. For some reason, the secretary decided to copy me on that document. She had never done that in the past. She never did it after that.
So
But for some reason...
You can't defend yourself. You're real cool, Anna. Real cool.
Thank you, Minnie.
You're welcome, because I'm not done. We will see each other in court.
There have to be damages for court.
Any rest lower. My simple question is, for the grant that we're going to get for the road, how much is that for?
I think it was just under $400,000.
That will cover...
No, $477,000.
So if we get the grant, that will cover both of those
The whole road.
Both of those
The whole
sinkholes and the storm sewer system from there down to Garrison.
Okay. And if we don't, how much will it cost us?
Well, we're going to
Total
do
amount.
a smaller scale. If we don't get the grant, we're going to scale down the project.
And how much would that scale down with the...
What did we talk about?
Approximately $230,000.
But most of that is paid for with the money that we got from the government for COVID.
That's the $250,000 that I talked about, that I found about last year.
We've talked about that, yeah.
So that's where that money would come from. It wouldn't come from general fund.
Not unless it goes over that amount.
Okay, so it has to go over that amount, it would have to come out of general fund. So therefore, we would use that money to fill the 2 holes we could fill the grant.
Well, we wouldn't just be filling the 2 holes. We would need to deal with the underneath where it's been deteriorated.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to come up here again and thank everybody for doing the business of the borough. It's no small task. And somebody alluded to the fact how hot it's been, and prompted me to think about our emergency management services, our fire department, our police, and just wanted to reiterate how grateful I am and we are at the Village of Green Tree for the dedication of the Parkside Borough Volunteer Fire Company and all the members and the leadership. Rob Powers been doing a great job. I've seen it with my own eyes. And thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
And please extend our gratitude to the fire department for all their hard work. Working under these conditions, suiting up, 50, 60, 70 pounds of equipment and more. It's laudable. And everybody should be reminded. That's what I wanted to come up here and say. And for our police department as well, because they're out there working in these kind of conditions, in any conditions. In these kind of conditions, it's that much more pressing. But thank you very much. And thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
For leadership, and thanks everybody for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's fortuitous, Tim, that we don't live in Phoenix, Arizona.
Well, you're not kidding.
Not kidding.
I'm Sue Dolan, and I've been reporting about some of the lights, and I've noticed one on West Shelton going up, and it's got a bird's nest in there, and I'm seeing some of the nesting material actually coming out, and it's on a pole where there's a transformer. I'm just wondering, should we be concerned that there could be a fire hazard with all that bird material in there? It also has a broken light cover on it.
Do you know?
If you get a pole number, you can contact PICO and they'll come out.
I've already reported it to the borough, and nothing's been done with it.
We don't handle poles until they're on fire. You can call PICO, give them the pole number, and they'll come out.
The other question is, what's going on with the woodlot lights? I've been down there again, and nothing has been done with the woodlight lights. They're still out. And I did report them.
They were reported
I
last.
was the first one that actually did report them, and they're still out, so I want to know what's
I
being
brought it
done.
up last month, so I don't know. The chief was going to look into it and have Ryan check them.
So we don't even know why the lights are out.
I don't know.
I went down there and I see there's a box that has a lock on it. I mean, how many people, could somebody have gone in there and unlocked it and tampered with it? I mean, I don't know how many people have a key for that. So that's another question. That's all I got.
Good evening. I'm Dave Lanley, I'm the fire chief of the borough. Just a couple things we will discuss. One, I want to bring to the council's attention. There will be a summer splash at the firehouse on the 29th, and that's from 11 to 2. And also, August 1st, it's called National Night Out. It will be held in Aston at the community center. It is only for the departments that are in the Penn-Delco School District. So it'll be us, Brookhaven, and Aston. And they will have games, food, and entertainment there. I don't know what. I get emails. I get an email every day that tells us what's going on. So there's just a couple of things. Also, I don't know if anybody noticed that there's a fire truck sitting on Rolling Road. We were here on a Thursday night, and the truck went down. So we had to have it towed back to the firehouse. So it appears that it's a problem that was fixed before I even got here. So I don't know, I'm trying to get with the past administrations, find out who did the work, where it was done, because it's $1,700 to have it towed to the place. We can't afford $1,700 to have it towed. So we are, as the members, actively trying to get it into what's called road gear and pump gear. It's in the middle. We're trying to get it manually put into road gear so that we can drive it there ourselves. we're looking for grant money to have, help us out, because we're down saws that have been repaired so many times, we're told they're not worth fixing anymore. And they run anywhere from $400 to $500 a piece. So all of our things, we're looking for grants, and we're actively working on that. The problem with grants is, I don't know if you're familiar with them, everybody asks why we don't get a fire truck with the grant money. So we have a hose grant, and that was a $70,000 hose grant. But we had to come up with $5,000 out of pocket for ourselves, if you know anything about grants. A fire truck is around anywhere from $650,000 to $1 million. To have the money to put up, Firehouse wouldn't have that $40,000, $50,000 to put up. So that's why we're working on all the equipment that we have. We have 2 engines that are over 30 years old and one's 15 years old. So we are maintaining as much as we can and doing the best we can in the borough. I have a skeleton crew. As you know, it's summertime. Everybody goes on vacation. So do our members. So we are, every day, I'm looking for somebody that's going to come to the firehouse and help us out. Anybody that would like to come to the firehouse, fill out an application, we would love to have you. That nothing, we will never turn anybody away. That's just the way it is. A couple other things is, it was brought to my attention that somebody came to the firehouse and asked if the firehouse was a Republican clubhouse. And I said no. So I'll tell you right now, I was approached when I first took this position and said, was I against anybody having a meeting at the firehouse? The Republicans asked, and I said, I don't care if they have a meeting at the firehouse, but you also must extend that to the other party in the borough. So that means if you want to have a meeting, you all you got to do is ask. We are there for you. We're not the clubhouse. I am the most non-political person in that firehouse. You can ask my men. We don't discuss politics. And I don't like the firehouse being used as a tool for politics. We're not here, I don't get off the fire truck and ask who you voted for, or what policies that you have. We're public service, just like the chief. We get off the truck. Yesterday, call came out, it said officer down. We went out the door so fast, we left the man behind. With his gear hanging off the side of the truck. That's what we do. We're there for them, and they're there for us. And that's what we're there for you as residents of this borough. So if there's anything about you need to know, all you have to do is come to the firehouse. Ask. I'm transparent. I'm not going to lie to you about any of it. Another thing was, now this can change too. Somebody said, Anna Guy's waiting for you to have a meeting with her. Okay? I bring it to your face. I don't talk behind your back. I bring it to your face. I told you last meeting, whenever you're ready, I gave you my number, my email. Whenever you're ready, all you do is pick up that phone, and I'll put time aside. I don't want to make it so that we are talking about each other. I'm here to help.
Who was speaking for me?
I don't know. I had a resident ask me. We stand out front every day. The candidate came by and said, is this the Republican clubhouse? What do you, I said, where did that even come from? Well, I saw it on social media.
Unbelievable.
I'll tell you right now, I don't follow social media. I don't believe in it. I think it's,
Yes.
Yes. It'll make your best friend your enemy.
It's a sensible.
And that's why I stay off
Yep.
there. Other than that, if you have any questions for the fire company, please don't hesitate to ask.
Now, I came across the piece of paper with your info on it. I'm going to reach out to you. We'll get together this next week.
Okay.
I'd like that
Give
very
me a
much.
call, and I'll be more than happy to sit down with you.
And I appreciate everything you said.
Thank you.
Can you tell us what the fire company summer splash on July 29th, what does that entail?
So, it's a fundraiser. It's actually for the firehouse. And it says all donations go directly to the Parkside Firehouse. We're going to shut the street down. So as you know, on Thursday nights we come down to the school for order because it's hot. We have people stopping in their cars, and for kids to go play out there. So we're going to do that, and anything that we can. We'll have food, we have games, and just activities for the kids to do. We're trying to reach out to everybody. Everybody is invited.
Hot dogs, juice, DJ.
And what's the date again?
Is
It's
the
Saturday, the
29th
29th.
Of July?
of
Okay.
July.
All donations go strictly to the fire company.
That's great.
And believe it or not, we do need the help, like I said. We have a fire truck sitting there, and we're doing our best to keep the borough safe. And we do that on daily.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Anyone for a second go?
Madam President, just one thing.
Certainly.
Chief mentioned the response that they made about 6:45 last night for an officer getting home. That was a miscommunication. None of our officers was hurt, none of our officers was involved.
Thank goodness.
I apologize, Chief, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, I don't want to be leaving here with the impression that
It was Charlie, so.
Charlie?
We were worried about Charlie.
Charlie?
Charlie Young.
Love Charlie.
Jacket's still inside of the truck.
All right, let's move on. Is there any old business? Okay, new business. We have get secretary bonded. And Mr. Platt, you want to talk about that a little bit?
The last I heard was Gallagher was going to put everything together. We've completed the application, we've submitted it, and they were going to put everything together and send it to the borough, and I haven't seen anything yet. That was on the 11th of July.
And in order to get bonded, basically, you just had to provide some of your personal information, but that was it. That's all the hoops you had to jump
That's all they've asked for
through?
at this point.
All right, good deal. Is there anything else? Do we need to make a motion to get him bonded, or?
That was already, I think, authorized
We did that
last month.
All right, good.
In fact, really, Bob, before you become an authorized signer on those accounts and have access to those funds, you should really be bonded prior there too. So perhaps make another phone call to H.A. Gallagher and say, hey, let's get on this and let's expedite this as soon as possible.
Okay.
And on that note, if you can get that done by Wednesday, then maybe we can meet at the bank on Wednesday and get that taken care of, Doug. Maybe? Wednesday? All right, good deal.
I mean, I did talk with Mr. Platt, and it does work to have him as a signer, but
Oh,
it
yeah.
is nice to have, like, if you call him and says, hey, I got a check for you to sign.
I know.
It doesn't take me more than, how long does it usually take me to respond?
Oh, you're usually there that day or that night.
Yeah, not a problem, but if one of us is out of
Yeah, it
town or
comes in handy
something.
for that, yeah. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, Doug and I talked about that today, and, you know, he still, even though I'm a signer, he still wants to see stuff, and I get that.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Ms. Percival?
Under new business, and I'm not sure if this should be under new or old, the resident touched base on a right-to-know issue that was divulging information. And I sent an email to all of council July 12th, asking council's feelings on having our webmaster temporarily removed from his position until a thorough understanding and/or investigation could be done as to why he had access to all of these emails and private information.
I'm not sure what emails you're talking about. Are you talking about the ones in the right to know?
Yes.
Okay, the reason he had access to that, Michael can explain, is because Michael was unable to upload it to some place where the requester could access it, correct, Michael?
Yeah, so basically the right to know request was over 1,500 emails, and the file was too large to send over email in a regular attachment, so you know, using his expertise with, you know, digital technology, and I asked him for input on how to send that information to the person who filed the right to know request. And so he suggested using a Google Drive folder, and so I had uploaded the emails to the Google Drive folder. But by that point, I had discovered that there was the one email with the personal information on it, and I had taken it out. So
There's two.
it was within the same
One email.
Okay.
But I mean, to my knowledge, I don't think he did have access to that because I had found it and taken it out beforehand. But that's the reason he had access to it.
Is there a reason why, and I understand it was 1,561 emails, is there a reason why they weren't all downloaded onto thumb drives and handed it to the requester?
Well, I mean, that could have been done as an option, but it was just easier to send it electronically than to buy a flash drive and
Very
deliver it.
cheap compared to what's going on.
But that email was still on there in the first place, so it still
Okay.
would have been an issue regardless.
All right. Well, that explains his involvement, at least to my satisfaction. Thank you.
Is there anything else? All right, we are meeting afterward. Mr. Platt, don't run away. And you're not in trouble. I'll accept a motion to blow this taco joint.
Could you give me an idea of what the executive session's about?
Yes, it's regarding the data.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And how to handle that.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Come on, that was so slow. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're out of here.